Going on, everybody? C4, welcome back to the channel, and today we're for a new Madden 23 series, which we are calling the Ultimate Career Mode, a series where we are going to take the best players from college and we're going to play through their NFL careers with an unbelievable amount of twists and turns, kind of throwing some throwback to pink slip scoring, which we are going to be rewarded for the positive things we do every single season. We're going to be punished for the negative things that we accomplish in a season, and based upon that, that is going to determine the upgrades that happen for the player and the team that we are currently on, be it upgrades, which we have everything from being able to get a juicy free agency signing, drafting a stud. Once we get a little bit older, there's going to be no regression. We can demand a trade to a contender. We can get involved in the hiring a coach process, aka a playbook upgrade. If we play bad, there's going to be certain downgrades. Maybe like an injury happens to our player, which will face a -2 overall position stat regression. We're going to have to maybe be forced to draft a bust, where I will actively look in the first round to try to draft the worst player that has a first round grade. We can also have at risk to get traded away to a different team, probably a garbage team, which would add a different another wrinkle to it, where we can have a mini career revival within the rebuild. And we also have just trade away a skill position player. If we are a quarterback, which is what we are starting with here today, and let's say our wide receiver one doesn't go over 1,000 yards, well, we're going to be negatively affected by that. Maybe he throws in a trade request, his agent speaking to the general manager, and we're going to lose that player in the coming offseason. So there are going to be so many twists and turns. I can't wait to take you guys along for the journey. And without further ado, our first Ultimate Career Mode is the quarterback I believe will be the first overall pick in the 2023 NFL Draft. The first Ultimate Career Mode in Madden 23 is Bryce freaking Young. It was clear from day one that Bryce Young was going to be the franchise quarterback, the brand new starter for Shane Steichen and the Indianapolis Colts. There was no scenario where they were going to bring in a veteran and ease him in. He's the guy from the get-go. All right, I'm on the offensive side of the ball. We have Jonathan Taylor, who's one of the best running backs in the NFL. Our top go-to receiver is going to be Michael Pittman Jr., the big body wide receiver out of USC, 6'4", 223. That is a big body target for Bryce Young. We also have Alec Pierce. Free agency, I don't handle free agency. It is going to be purely on the sim unless we roll something that allows me to go and get a top free agency. So we got Rashid Shaheed is the only other wide receiver skill position player that is brand new to the Colts, the speedster from the New Orleans Saints. Offensive line remains pretty much the same. It's a solid group. We're able to add Hassan Page from the draft as well at a TCU, pulling a very nice 75 hit in dev. And the defense, it is exactly kind of what the Colts are, man. A strong front seven led by DeForest Buckner and Shaquille Leonard, with a secondary with a mix of inexperience but upside in the safety room, while we have very proven leaders in the corner room with Stephon Gilmore and Kenny Moore. I think it was only right for year one. It was time to make Bryce Young's debut. Let's see what the kid can do. First NFL start against the Carolina Panthers. In his debut game, we got the Panthers. That's a great first completion. That's how you start. But when you're with the Colts, it doesn't all need to come on Bryce Young. We have Jonathan Taylor in the backfield, so that should help him out a little bit, especially knowing that there's always that threat in the backfield that we can open things up by throwing the football. His first career touchdown pass goes to Michael Pittman, and we are a little bit in control here, the Panthers. It's a good matchup. And also, a little bit of dual threat for Bryce Young. Not regarded as a true dual threat, but he's absolutely a quarterback smart enough to know when to take off the run. And that was the debut game, 28-17. A great start for Bryce Young. Hell of a stat line. Did exactly what he needed to do. You're not going to see a better start for a rookie than that. And off of Bryce Young's impressive debut start in the year 1-0, we get a skill point upgrade. And while improviser is the archetype, I think for his style of quarterback, the style of quarterback we want to build, we're going to work on field general. Coming back around to the media for his debut game, slow and steady for Bryce Young. It was an impressive win, got the job done, an extra 1,000 XP. We started Bryce Young's rookie year out hot. We were 5-1 after 6 weeks. However, we are now currently on a 4-game losing streak, the growing pains of a rookie quarterback. So at the end of year one, the Colts took massive steps forward, doubling their wins from 2022, finishing with 8-9 record. Bryce Young was solid, not necessarily an MVP-esque campaign, but 4,200 yards passing, 32 touchdowns to 11 interceptions, also able to chip in with 245 rushing yards, 6 rushing touchdowns, which I think for a rookie, that's pretty damn good. Surprisingly, his dev trade was unveiled as only a star. I thought, you could give Bryce Young a superstar dev trade. I don't think too many people would complain about it. Looking at our scoring here for year one, we had over 35 total touchdowns between 32 passing and 6 rushing, which counts for 1 point for Bryce Young. Bryce Young also won the Offensive Rookie of the Year award, which is a great start to building his legacy. By winning the Offensive Rookie of the Year, Bryce Young took himself from a star dev, which might have been surprising, which might have been questionable, and got himself up to a superstar dev trait. However, big ol' fat red X for failing to make the playoffs with an 8-9 record, 3rd place in the AFC South. So here's kind of how the scoring is going to work in the Ultimate Rebuilds. This is probably the one area where I'm definitely open to suggestions, but this is kind of the middle ground that I figured out. So by hitting a seasonal objective, which we did by getting 35 total touchdowns and winning Offensive Rookie of the Year, we get 2 options from the upgrade wheel. I kind of think I should be able to use my own discretion as to what is going to help the team the most. So I decided to go with draft a stud option and a top free agency signing option. However, by not making the playoffs, I also realistically should pick a reasonable downgrade. And what I decided to go with was losing a skill position player, be it not re-signing them or potentially trading. No. Of course. We roll the -1. At least this one makes some sense within the context of how year one shaked out, as Michael Pittman had a disappointing year. He was our wide receiver 1, and for whatever reason, Bryce Young just seemed to have a better chemistry with Alec Pierce. So with Michael Pittman set to become a free agent, we're just gonna opt to not re-sign him as part of our punishment. Because this is a career mode, unless we roll something on the wheel that allows us to go sign a free agent, draft a stud, or draft a bust, I'm just going to sim free agency and the draft and kind of just provide a recap because we're just focusing on Bryce Young. We were able to land in the 1st round and upgrade at tight end here. BJ Heath out of Alabama. So maybe there's some connection right there with Bryce Young. Excited to see maybe there's some outside there. I don't know if that's where I would have gone exactly in the 1st round, is what it is. We also brought over KJ Hamler in free agency to kind of fill the void that we lost by letting Michael Pittman walk to free agency. On the defensive side of the ball, looks like the secondary is where we want to prioritize, drafting a hidden dev corner Ward and splurging big time money to land Trevon Diggs to come in and take over for Stephon Gilmore. I'm gonna have to dap up the CPU as Ward is an X Factor. Drafting a 69 X Factor corner in the draft. Outstanding. At the end of year 2, we end up winning the AFC South, just having some sort of tiebreaker over the Tennessee Titans, sitting atop with 10-7, which is outstanding, which is exactly the kind of success you want to see as a Colt fan after selecting Bryce Young. Looking at our squad as well, Heath, the tight end that we drafted in the 1st round, popped with a superstar dev, and on the defensive side, we already knew that Ward, our other hidden dev player, a corner, popped as an X Factor. So we didn't even roll anything that helps us draft a stud, and we end up just getting 2 ridiculous players on both sides of the football. It's not time to gloat. We have a playoff game, a massive playoff game ahead, as the 10-7 Colts take on the 10-7 Bills. Hosting the Buffalo Bills, we get the 1st touchdown of the game to start this one up 7-zip. And I think that ultimately it's going to come down to the quarterback play. Josh Allen, Bryce Young, who wants it more? The Bills were able to go down and equalize. Rushing touchdown, James Cook. Great drive here, Bryce Young. In the 2nd half, we get a touchdown. 10-yard touchdown to KJ Hamler to regain the lead. It was all defense in the 1st half, but now we're trading touchdowns. A.J. Dillon gets the score to put the Bills back ahead. No, Von Miller sack. We're starting to see some inexperience from Bryce Young. And the Bills are just piling on now at this point. Ooh, nice little 14-yard rushing touchdown, Jonathan Taylor. We got a chance the defense can get a stop. 3rd and 2. Come on, baby. Head of the 2-minute warning. Do it. Damn it. I'll get a chance now. 3rd and 8. 4th and 8. We get a punt. A stop. It's 99 yards. To win. It's 4th and 10. I think we know what we need to do. Come on, baby. No. We got pummeled. Absolutely pummeled. That's how the season ends. Hell of a battle, man, for Bryce Young. Not a bad debut as well. No turnovers. Just didn't have enough. Couldn't contain that Bills rushing offense. While it was a successful season, wasn't actually the best year from Bryce Young. So taking a look at our scoring from year 2, we did win the division, which is 1 point in the upgrade column. Bryce Young wasn't the best. We handed the ball off a lot to Jonathan Taylor. 4,500 yards passing, 22 touchdowns to 14 interceptions. Did have 400 yards rushing and 6 rushing touchdowns. But ultimately, no real scoring here from Bryce Young. We were lucky that those 14 interceptions didn't put him within the top 5 of the league. He was 8th, I believe. But we did not get any way, shape, or form on the award shortlist, which is kind of just the barometer of if you had a good year or not. And looking at the top quarterbacks, we could not even find a way to make the top 10. So that isn't downgrade. We also had a playoff loss, which is giving us a second downgrade on the wheel. All right, here's going to be our wheel. We're going to go with draft a stud as our 1 positive, and our 2 negatives, 2 downgrades are going to be draft a bust. So our first round pick is going to be the worst guy that I can find in the first round. Or we're going to yet again tempt fate and potentially lose a skill position player for back-to-back off seasons, which would suck. And of course, we're 0 for 2. We're going to have to draft a bust in the first round. Luckily, our first draft of this video was pretty stacked, so I guess we could take a little bit of a hit here at the draft. The best free agency period, as we got Matt Stafford, Robert Quinn, and Alex Leatherwood, so just depth players and veterans. Of course, we rolled draft a bust, as I'm almost certain that is a generational running back right there, David Claiborne. Don't know if we need it, but I'd just pair that with Jonathan Taylor. But did a little bit of homework, and I found, at least, and I always want to try to get a bust at a position that we need. And I definitely think we could still be looking for a wide receiver. And it looked like a very strong wide receiver class, in the worst of the bunch that still could go in the first round, like a Jalen Reagor-esque pick. Looks like Arthur Gray. Average across the board, and a pretty bad athlete, all things considered. I mean, I guess the 3-cone and 20-yard aren't too bad, but that is our first round pick, Arthur Gray, normal dev, and he's probably in the 60s. So taking a look at our bust. I mean, again, what's a bust? I think anything that's below a 70 normal dev, that should tick the box for bust. So that's kind of what Arthur Gray is here in the first round. A reach. Don't know what the scouting staff found in him, but we did still get some value. The computer hooked us up with Chris Meadows, 71 hidden dev right tackle. We had a couple decent rating players, but look at this to finish it out. Ben Brooks, hidden dev kicker, 99 kick power, 82 accuracy. That's all right. I'll take that. And I was just curious, and so we couldn't make this tandem of Jonathan Taylor and the generational running back, 85 hidden dev running back. He was right there, but we had to draft the bust, didn't we? Year 3 finishes with more regular season success as the Colts go 12-5, winning the AFC South again and setting up a big-time wildcard matchup against the Jacksonville Jaguars. An opening drive for the Colts, able to punch it in with a Jonathan Taylor touchdown early lead. Jags were able to equalize in the second quarter, getting a 1-yard touchdown to Christian Kirk. Great drive here from Bryce Young. 3rd and 7 converts, able in the red zone, keep the ball himself. 2-yard rushing touchdown. Oh no, right before half. 47 yards, Christian Kirk. Second tutty of the day. Able to get a long field goal before halftime, going with a lead. Great drive here. Building, ended up with a touchdown, 16 yards. The Jonathan Taylor out the backfield. Big drive from Jacksonville. Instantly down there, but they have to settle for 3. Oh, punch this one in. Palma, just give it to Jonathan Taylor. Jags go for it. 4th and 1. Move the chains with Pat Riker, the fullback. And able to get a touchdown on 4th down again. Oh, no, this is not good. Oh, let's go, Shaq Leonard. Let's kill the game. Oh, we couldn't kill the game off. Come on, you knew it was going to happen. We are going to overtime. Jags get the ball first. They get a 3rd and 12 conversion to Zay Jones. We force the punt. Let's get some points. Need a long drive here. Need a masterful drive from Bryce Young. 3rd and 2. Sets up a 4th and 1. And like cowards, we punt the ball in overtime. Borderline deserved to lose. But then the Jags also punt the ball. Neither team really wants to win here today. Big shot play. Come on. Come on. 3rd and 4. Kick the field goal. Come on. Oh, you're like a generational kicker. This is terrible. No one deserved to win this game, and somehow we're the losers. For our year 3 scoring, we won the division, which goes down for a successful upgrade point. Bryce Young both went over 4,500 yards with his rushing and passing and 35 total touchdowns. Those are 2 more successful upgrade points. However, we did lose that playoff game, so there will be 1 negative widget on the year 3 wheel. All right, here's our year 3 wheel. So because there's only so many upgrades and downgrades, especially for upgrades, we're going to just double up. I'm going to give us 2 opportunities to be able to draft a stud. I also threw in an opportunity to get a potential big-time free agency signing. I'm definitely looking at the wide receiver spot. And I kept draft a bust in here on the wheel. Again, maybe there's some sort of way that we can decide which upgrades and downgrades go to the wheel on a given year. But for me, I'm just going to try to keep it fun, keep it entertaining, keep it light. And sometimes I will mix in, instead of draft a bust, if we do have a negative, maybe we'll throw an injury in there. Maybe we'll throw, again, to trade away a skill position player. But because we still have a fresh wound, relatively, of losing Michael Pittman, which is massive, I don't want to go back to that well of losing a skill position player so soon. So let's spin this wheel here for year 3. There's no, okay, thank God. I was going to say, give me something good. We are back-to-back years of negative upgrades, negative spins. We are now able to draft a stud, which allows us to go and take control of the Colts' first-round pick. We are going to pick up the 5th-year option on Bryce Young's contract as well here with the Colts. Don't think they really want to get rid of him just quite yet. Still think he might be a guy that can bring him to a Super Bowl. Free agency recaps, just a lot of depth players. Bringing back Rodney Thomas. We got Hassan Haskins, Jamar Johnson, O.J. Howard, another Alabama player signing for the Colts, as well as Jacoby Brissett making a return. So with our opportunity to draft a stud, I'm going to try my best. And I think wide receiver is where we want to get better. It looks pretty obvious with the board. Who looks like the best? On paper, Christian Reynolds at a USC. B catching traffic, A deep route running, B release, C catching. Looks all pretty good. Then when you throw in the fact that he has 4.2 speed, looks like an absolute slam dunk for the Colts. Hidden dev wide receiver. Welcome to the squad. And a stud, he is Christian Reynolds. Pops as a 76. He's going to be a great threat along with Alec Pierce and KJ Hamler to help out Bryce Young. Computer also looked up with a couple 70s in the 3rd round. Shelton Buckner, another USC hidden dev rookie for the Colts. Year 4 for the Colts. Here's where the squad is looking like. Reynolds is going to be our wide receiver 2 with Pierce at 1. Johnny 9, Jonathan Taylor. Bryce Young, 90, almost. He's going to probably hit the 90s. I'm going to say he's probably 91, 92 when this season is done. And things are going to get interesting as it relates to a contract because are they going to want to shove out the money because so much of this offense is still going through Jonathan Taylor? Is it worth it to pay Bryce Young the $100-some million? Are we going to move on to somewhere else outside of the Colts? But I mean, this is a very good team. Offense is nice. Defense is nice. 2 X factors in Ward and Diggs, Leonard and Buckner. We just got at all different levels. Hell, even that kicker that we drafted last year popped as a superstar. So we need to start finding some playoff success here in year 4. And at the end of year 4, it's still kind of fueling into, are the Colts going to pay Bryce Young? Because while we're winning with him, look at that, the 21st passing offense, and we're just number 2. It's just Jonathan Taylor. I think there's going to be an argument to be had come next season. Are they going to pay our guy or not? And that was until I looked at his stats this year, where he had 44 touchdowns. On top of another AFC South title, we await the division round. We have the first round bye, so at least technically we can't be one and done in the first round again, which could be something new. But my God, we need to find playoff success. And it all starts against a tough draw here in the LA Chargers. We're here for the biggest game in Bryce Young's career, and there's just like the undertones of like, no matter what we do, man, is this Colts team going to be good enough? But the opening drive could have gone any better with the arm, with Jonathan Taylor, the 2 stars of this Colts offense going full unison. Bryce Young here also reminding everybody, I'm a dual threat. I can make plays with my legs. Don't worry about Jonathan Taylor. But that was probably the last good play we made all game with our legs. Throw an interception here. It was an uncharacteristic pick. The pass rush from the Chargers was ridiculous. It was affecting not only us standing in the pocket, but our throws downfield. 2nd interception of the game. Now at this point, we're just kind of desperate to get just you remain on the front foot here because the defense is doing their job. But another interception from Bryce Young, arguably his worst game ever as a Colt, coming in a big moment. He's a freaking MVP of the league, man. And it's just nothing could go right whatsoever in this game. It was brutal. Waving the white flag. Come back in. I had to wave the white flag. Get me out of that shit. Get me out of this hellhole. I'm now almost on the side of like the Colts are cursed, and next time we can get a big upgrade, maybe we demand a trade to a contender. This team is garbage. Look at our year 4 scoring. We won the division, which is points. We had our quarterback make the Pro Bowl. Quarterback won in the AFC, which is points. Taking a look at his stats, he went well over 4,500 total yards, which is points. He went well over 35 total touchdowns, which is points. Ridiculous. 48 touchdowns on the year for Bryce Young. He is the MVP. He also was able, within the AFC, to win quarterback of the year. So that's just a whole lot to go on the upgrade wheel. The downgrade is still yet again and agonizingly the playoff loss. So here be our wheel. Just nothing but draft to stud free agency signings for our 6 upgrades that we had. But there's still the one opportunity that we'll have an injury, which is -2 to all the quarterback position stats. And we got way too close to that one. Luckily, we are able to roll free agency signing, which means I can actually control and at least sign one big dog free agent for the Colts this offseason. The good news off Bryce Young winning the MVP, winning quarterback of the year, having almost 50 total touchdowns on the season as we spent that upgrade to get a throw power, is that he's taken himself and elevated his game. He is up to, oh my God, straight up 2+ throw power. I will take that. He is now a 94 X Factor quarterback. Looking at our squad, seeing where we want to go. Reynolds, superstar, wide receiver. I think he got that superstar off of winning Offensive Rookie of the Year. Yeah, it was. He got Offensive Rookie of the Year. So he was a star. We drafted a star. He's up to a superstar. But more so looking at where we should be able to spend this free agency cash in. I mean, we could look at center as a potential upgrade. I think honestly everything else on the offense looks pretty. I mean, wide receiver 3, if there's a crazy option, we could do so. That might be a little bit overkill. I think more so we might just want to invest on the defensive side of the ball. Maybe help with that defensive line a little bit. Honestly, it's an absolute junk free agency spot. There's no pass rusher worth signing. There's no D tackle. We could. It's Christian Wilkins, and we converted to D tackle is option A. Option B is sign a center. So honestly, the way that we're going to go, and I don't want to pay a lot of money to center. We need to be conscious of the fact that if we do even want to have an opportunity of re-signing Bryce Young, we can't go too crazy. So I think we go kind of short term, and we target Christian Wilkins to come in and play D tackle. And we're able to land the big fish. Christian Wilkins, welcome to the Colts. For our draft recap, able to land a pretty decent looking middle linebacker in the first round. Jaquez McCord out of Texas, 73 with a normal dev, and pulled in a nice interior offensive lineman, Alonzo Griffin out of South Carolina, 73, but both top players with normal dev traits. So we're at a very interesting spot here. Now in year 5, and Bryce Young, it's contract time. It's time to pay the piper. He has very little interest in re-signing currently with the Colts. We'll extend this original offer to see kind of how far apart we are. But it does not look particularly good for the reigning MVP. Maybe the Colts kind of put themselves in an awkward position. Maybe we need to look at potentially franchise tagging, or we let it roll and we see where Bryce Young's journey takes us. I just find it hard to believe that a team coming off an MVP year will let Bryce Young walk, but he also wants a big bag, and while it's still only halfway through year 5, things aren't looking the best for the Colts. We're in a very weird spot as a franchise, but ultimately this video is about Bryce Young, and we're going to operate within the best business decision, the best plan, of course, for Bryce Young, not the Colts. We're almost acting like his agent in this video. To make things interesting, why not throw a little stipulation onto things? As we are still in year 5 looking for our first playoff victory. The Colts finished the year out strong. Bryce Young did what Bryce Young does. Got him an AFC South title. We got a rematch against the Chargers. If we can beat the Chargers, I may give them a chance to franchise tag Bryce Young, because still within the context of like re-signing him, way off the mark from a contract number. So let's see what we can do. If we get a win, I'll consider a franchise tag. If not, the Bryce Young journey continues on with another team. And I'm not saying that we need to win the Super Bowl. I need a playoff win. We need some form of postseason progress, or else I'm dragging Bryce Young out of this cursed organization. You know what I'm saying? And if we get at least one playoff win, we may not be the long-term contract extension a team that thinks they have a franchise quarterback would like, but at least gives you one more year to try and run the gun. But again, we just have nothing going for us in the playoffs. Going into the second half, down 13-7, offense just looking completely uninspired. Bryce Young looks checked out. We got a quick score in the fourth quarter. Maybe it's going to be very symbolic of the regular season where we started slow, we finished strong. We have an opportunity here to go on a drive and get a 1 point. Oh my God, we get the touchdown, 2-point conversion. It's on the defense, and they can't stop. We're going to try and get a field goal, which we do. And congratulations, Colt fans. I'm at least going to give you a franchise tag opportunity. Huge game from Bryce Young, 363 yards, 4 total touchdowns, a thing of beauty. We got the Chiefs in the divisional round. It's a snow game. Somehow, much like in real life, Andy Reid probably has the Chiefs convinced that they're underdogs somehow. And everyone's counted them out, even though they're the freaking Chiefs or the new Patriots. So it's going to be a tough one. They're going to be fully motivated. It's Patrick Mahomes. It's Bryce Young. Going to be a hell of a battle if Bryce Young in real life ends up going to the AFC. But in this world, he is in the AFC, and they're two of the top dogs. Sometime double-time MVP last year in Bryce Young. And they're going toe-to-toe. 2020 going into the fourth quarter. We had to settle for a field goal. And trust me, as an Eagle fan, I can tell you right now after that Super Bowl, you settle for field goals against the Chiefs, bad things happen. We get that field goal lead. Chiefs just go down the field, tied up at 30. We have at least the football last. Kick the field goal. And, of course, they also kick a field goal. And I think this is probably going to be it. Because it's the Chiefs, and that's what they do. But we at least had one playoff victory, which is going to open the door for Bryce Young coming back on a tag season for year 6. Looking at our year 5 scoring, we won the division, which is 1 point. We had a playoff win, surprisingly, finally, which is 1 point. And as far as Bryce Young is concerned, went over 4,500 total yards, went over 35 total touchdowns, and the only negative, yet again, is a playoff defeat. So we're going to have another favorable spin the wheel here to improve the team, but first thing is first, let's get that tag signed. So for Bryce Young, we are going to sign the franchise tag 1 year, $49 million, which helps out. We will be losing Kwity Paye and Terrence Ward, once an X-Factor corner, to free agency, however. So for a year 5 spin, I'm going to go heavy more so on drafting a stud if we can land it. But none of that doesn't even matter. We rolled the negative injury, which is going to be -2 for all position-related stats. So that's throw power and all the accuracies, all the quarterback stats for Bryce Young. Brutal. Absolutely brutal. For the injury, he was a 97 overall quarterback with pretty much elite stats. After the injury, it was a shoulder injury. Bryce Young, already upset. Colts medical staff, malpractice, whatever you want to toss it up to. Still great, but definitely didn't want at this point in his career to take a step back in the wrong direction. And that's exactly what happened this offseason while still being on a tag with a lack of financial security going forward. Things are not at a great spot right now between Bryce Young and the Colts organization. Also didn't get a lot of help in free agency, just going for 2 veterans as Charvarius Ward and Danielle Hunter have joined the Colts ahead of the draft. Colts GM here had a hell of a draft class in the first round, landing Julian Wade, a 73 hidden dev center, which was, it was certainly the weak spot, I guess, of the offensive line. We get a hidden dev pass rusher in the second round, Evan Carroll out of LSU, 6'6", 273 power rusher. That actually looks really good, even though we did sign Danielle Hunter. Could look for a longer-term option. We got a 72 D tackle, and in the 5th round, a 70 hidden dev running back, J.R. Tate, out of Texas. What could be Bryce Young's final year with the Indianapolis Colts? He stands, after the injury, still the progress, the development from where we started to where we are right now. 94 overall quarterback. And he's elite, man. He has an MVP under his belt. He's a very good player. Looking at the squad around him, we have a bona fide wide receiver 1 there in Reynolds. Alec Pierce has been solid. Jonathan Taylor. Offensive line has been elite. Page went up to a superstar dev after winning lineman of the year last season. And the rookie Wayne gets the start at center. Defensively, we've been losing some guys. We got some veterans, though. The D-line is full of them. Hunter Wilkins and Buckner Carroll, the second-round pick. We'll get the start at defensive end. Secondary of Ward, Diggs, and Rogers. Losing, our X-Factor corner that we drafted kind of sucks. Linebacking cores come together. We have Buckner's brother here at right outside linebacker. Safeties are still the same from when we started. Let's see what happens here, man. Bryce Young playing on the franchise tag here in year 6. So at the end of year 6, we're at an incredibly advantageous position for Team Bryce Young. Maybe not for the Colts, as we've won the division here again, 12-5. And we sit here before we show you how we got to this point in the year. We're set to be free agent. We kind of signed the franchise tag with the idea of like, we got to go on, we got to go deep in the playoffs, or else I'm just admitting this team is cursed and I want to go somewhere else. I'm going to hit the open market and be the highest paid quarterback of all time. So we won the division with Bryce Young. Taking a look at his stats this year, 4,500 yards, 43 touchdowns, well over 43, 48 total with his 5 rushing. Just absurd numbers, absolutely absurd numbers. And we have the MVP. That is Bryce Young's second MVP award, and it's all attached to whether or not we go on a playoff run. And because I don't want to get too attached, I'm just simming. We're gonna sim these playoffs. If we go on a little bit of a win, if we make a championship game, we'll hop in, we'll sit the moments. But until we see something that shows this team isn't cursed, I'm just gonna assume that they are. We do handle business here though. 38 points, 3 touchdowns. Defense shuts down Josh Allen, and we're able to knock out the Buffalo Bills in the opening round of the playoffs, which is definitely a step in the right direction. That hasn't always been the case, that we're finding a way to get playoff victories. Well, let's hop in on this one. The divisional round here, 12-5 Colts, 12-5 Jets. It's a big shot play. Both teams trade field goals. First scores of this game. Jets get the first touchdown. Come on, let's let the MVP cook. Missed the extra point. This team's cursed. Jets able to get another touchdown. And they are really just, I don't know, way more clinical. They added on an extra field goal. We're going down the field. Oh, okay, shot play. We cut the lead to 3. Okay, we've held them to field goals. Jets have been able to move up and down between the 20s. That's perfectly fine. Turnover. No. All right, looks like for maybe the first time ever, an MVP quarterback is going to roll into the open market to the highest bidder who wants a 2-time MVP. To be fair, because there is an option on the upgrades for when we get to a later sport in our career and we just can't win to demand a trade, I guess because we're the MVP, we'll go within the rules of like, we're going to demand free agency with our 6 points of upgrades, which we got from winning the division. Holy, he was almost injured, but we won the division. We had 4,500 yards passing, 35 plus touchdowns. He was the MVP, he was the quarterback of the year, and he made the Pro Bowl. That gave us 6 upgrades. We did have the 1 playoff loss, which is why the injury was up there, which we almost rolled, but able to demand free agency is what we got. And officially, within the confines of how we want to set this rebuild up, we are able to hit the open market with a guilt-free conscience. We got what we wanted. Hopefully it doesn't bite us in the butt because we are leaving a good Colts team, but now Bryce Young is on the open market as a reigning defending MVP, ready to go to the highest bidder. When all is said and done, the dust has settled. A team that might have played themselves out of the Bryce Young sweepstakes by going and winning the final week of the 2022 season and getting the 2nd overall pick and not controlling who they can draft. History has a weird way of correcting itself, and Bryce Young is now a Houston Texan. Look at this Texans team. We have the number 2 overall pick in the upcoming draft. We have Bryce Young. Now we also have a young quarterback that we could probably use as a trade target. And because it's just a fresh year with the Texans, I'm gonna make sure I draft this actual first pick, whatever ends up being, and maybe we could package that quarterback to get pick number 1 potentially if there's someone there. We got Dameon Pierce, veteran, but he's a 97. We got superstar Antonio Mays as RB2. So that's a hell of a backfield there. Not much at wide receiver. Definitely think wide receiver. I would love to see like a wide receiver, top 5 true talent type player here. Definitely think BJ Heath came with us. He was our tight end for Indianapolis. He also got poached by the Texans. You'll love to see that. The O-line there, 70s, all in the 70s and 80s. That looks solid. Defensively, Vic, pass rusher. Definitely need another pass rusher on the other side. D tackles look solid. We got a superstar there in Greg Weaver, 26 years old. Linebacker core, 82, 86, and 80. So maybe get a little bit younger at middle linebacker. Could be an option for this draft. We still got Derek Stingley doing the damn thing. 80-something, probably high, maybe even 90 superstar. We had an 87, 81 for the corners. Superstar Jerome Little, another young player there for the Texans defense. And Jalen Peach is still doing this thing as a superstar safety as well. And we have a superstar punter. Let's go. So all that being said, we have the number 2 pick in the draft. And we have a quarterback that we can trade. Maybe to secure the services of the number 1 overall pick. Let's see. Yeah, you're going to see why. We traded pick 2 and our backup quarterback to the Rams for pick 1 and their 3rd round selection. Rams could have easily just selected the quarterback here, Dimitri Carmichael, out of Boise State, who's a top 5 in true talent. But in case they didn't, I would have loved a wide receiver to be a clear and obvious selection. The top wide receiver here, Quincy Nix, he could be solid. But look at this pass rusher. Pass rusher, I would say, would be our number 2 need. B block set, A pursuit, A tackle, B zone, speed rusher, elite acceleration, elite speed. This guy here is going to be borderline generational, I think. Insane. C.J. Oakley, welcome alongside Bryce Young to the Houston Texans. I'll just sim out the rest of the draft now. Look at our first draft here with the Houston Texans. We traded up to secure the services of a absolute monster. 83 hidden dev pass rusher. Not necessarily the same, but along the lines of Mario Williams 2.0 for this franchise. He's going to be a day 1 starter. Second round, we got a 76 hidden dev wide receiver, Chad Brooks, which was arguably our second biggest need here. Doesn't look like a ridiculous player, but that 85 catching, 85 spec catch, plus decent speed certainly helps. Get a 70 normal dev corner, 71 normal dev D tackle. All in all, very stellar draft for year 1. You already know what it is. C.J. Oakley, welcome to the league, bud. Year 7 overall, but year 1 with the Houston Texans, and this is what the big picture looks like for our squad. Excited to see. We're going to hop in and play the debut here at Bryce Young. Just see him in his new colors. With that O-line, a lot of dev traits. Really, not a lot of weaknesses to this team. This is a very well-rounded team that was kind of a quarterback away in a sense. But they're able to come in and get a ridiculous pass rusher on top of a ridiculous quarterback. And they brought our tight end with us that, almost couldn't write itself any better. Oh, look who our first game is. Clearly, this is a game that you want to ball out in, and that's exactly what we had. Not only is it a divisional game, but Bryce Young against the Colts. We want to see what our new pass catchers are going to be. But also, another element is we went from Jonathan Taylor having a strong run game to Dameon Pierce. So we still have that strong run game element that Bryce Young can always lean on, can complement on. And it's a kind of, just what makes everything go for Bryce Young. Helps with his durability, too. If we want to have a long career here, a strong run game is going to limit the amount of hits that he takes. And this is maybe the beginning of something beautiful here in Houston. I love that stat line, man. That is how you get revenge on your former team. And with our first season with the Texans, it's just what Bryce Young does. We go 12-5 and win yet again another AFC South title. However, and we'll get to the scoring obviously at the end of the video, definitely not the same type of offense that we're used to having with Bryce Young under center like we had with the Colts. We did not hit 4,500 total yards. We did not hit 35 touchdowns. But you have to remember, an option that we haven't really had to utilize yet on the upgrade wheel is to upgrade the coach, aka fire your coach, have that influence, which happens all the time with star quarterbacks, and get your guy in. So that would be able to allow us to switch up the offense and get a better playbook that will revolve around Bryce Young, because right now we just ran the ball down their throat and played great defense this season. Let's quickly go through this first playoff run. I think we're close, but I don't necessarily have the highest expectations. And unfortunately, we are one and done in the playoffs, falling to the Pittsburgh Steelers 21-17. But I do think that even though that's very disappointing to be one and done as a 1 seed, any upgrades that we potentially can bring in, I think it needs to go towards a playbook change. So at the end of year 7, our first year with the Houston Texans, we won the division, which is going to be one upgrade option on the wheel. From a stats perspective, Bryce Young did have a bad year whatsoever. 31 touchdowns to 4 picks is very good, but we did not break 35 touchdowns. We did not break 4,500 yards, which have been automatic with the Colts as of late, which is not good. There's no other scoring that we had for positive upgrades. We have the downgrade option on the wheel because we had a playoff loss, And also, Bryce Young lost his X Factor, which is a dev trait regression, which is a double whammy. So we are going to spin this wheel with only 1 positive and 2 negatives on it. Not great. So here's going to be our wheel for year 7. We have new coach as our only positive. The negative options are draft a bust or trade away a skill position play, which could actually happen. If you bring in a brand new quarterback, he doesn't get on with one of your star players, they're going to want to get traded away in the offseason, and that is exactly what we're going to have to do. Our highest rated wide receiver is going to get traded away. Hopefully we get decent value. Guess there has to be a silver lining. This is not as big of a blow as when we rolled this while we were at the Colts, ended up losing out on Michael Pittman. But still, Devontae Garland, 83, slot wide receiver, is our top wideout, and he is on the trade block. So I'm not 100% sure. A lot of these guys are generated players, so I'm just going to go with the best face value upgrade at this spot. And I know we're losing our right tackle to free agency. We just didn't re-sign him for some reason. So I'm going to take this Jags offer, keep him within the division, and accept a pretty big tackle, 83 overall, and a 7th round pick. Not bad. We gain a dev trait. I mean, you know, it is bad because this guy can't catch passes, but we didn't get completely ripped off. So God bless the Madden trade offers. At our free agent recap, we got a speedy wide receiver, no dev trait, and unnecessarily got a corner, which we didn't really need whatsoever. Needs to be said, man, auto drafting, like they tend to get just some good players. We got a 4th round defensive tackle, Isaiah Hairston, 71, with a hidden dev out of Georgia. Our 2nd round pick, Will Minter, a safety. Don't really need one, but you know, Petrie's getting up there in age. 72 with a hidden dev. And in the 1st round, not maybe the best value going middle linebacker in the 1st round, but we got Colin Giamello, 76, hidden dev linebacker. I ain't complaining. Year 8, our 2nd season with the Houston Texans. We've lost our X Factor. We had to trade away our top wide receiver. We were able to get an upgrade at right tackle by doing that, but we still have massive questions about who is going to be able to catch the ball from Bryce Young. So this kind of is almost like a grass isn't always green on the other side. Deciding to leave the Colts, and while we had success last year, you could definitely just see from the offense, from the play calling, not as ideal. Luckily, the defense is on point. Weaver's an X Factor. Oakley, who we traded and drafted, is an X Factor. Derek Stingley up to an X Factor. This defense is going to carry the weight. It's all about can Bryce Young find a rhythm in this Texans offense here in year 8. Then in year 8, this is something that it's happened once. Year 1 with the Colts. We didn't make the playoffs whatsoever. While there was no playoffs, which is going to be a downgrade on our offseason wheel, we did go over 35 total touchdowns for Bryce Young. We were pretty close to the 4,500 yards, just missed out, which still lets me believe that, at least an option on our upgrades will still be to look at firing and bringing in a brand new offensive coordinator and a new offensive playbook. But our 35 touchdowns and Bryce Young made the Pro Bowl in the AFC will give us 2 upgrades on the offseason wheel. So here's a look at our wheel. We're going to go with new offensive coordinator and sign a free agent because we have a lot of salary cap as our upgrades. Our downgrade is going to be drafting a bust. I feel like that's a safe bet. And we are able to roll new offensive coordinator. Let's go give ourselves a better playbook. Didn't want to ruin it by going Tampa or Kansas City, so I kind of went with an outside offense. There's a chance that it sucks. And again, if we have to roll this again, if this doesn't work out, I will just admit defeat and look at Kansas City, look at Tampa Bay, look at some of the more premier playbooks. But for right now, I'm going to go Dallas. Dallas is a pretty good playbook, but more so because we have 2 really good running backs. I didn't want to just think about Bryce Young, especially because he had a decent year this year. But the fact that we have Dameon Pierce and the other superstar running back, it feels more in line with how Dallas is a very good playbook as well, but they have Zeke and Tony Pollard. So I feel like Dallas might give us the best shot here without going straight to the best playbooks in the game. We're going with an A-tier playbook, maybe not an S-tier one. Our CPU-controlled free agency, we got depth on the offensive line, even though I already have starters at both guards. Didn't look like a lot of money was spent at least. And we got ourselves a new kicker. Definitely need to consider, especially with how much salary cap we have. If we can get some positive rolls next offseason, maybe throw some of those widgets on the offseason spin wheel to spend big in free agency. I looked at our draft. This one's, we got good players, but it was a little off the mark. We got a good value pick here in the 5th round. Terrence Vincent, hidden dev wide receiver out of Washington State. More of a technician than he is like a pure athlete. We got Beckham going linebacker again with one of our top priority picks. Hell of a player, 75 hidden dev. So I'm not going to overly complain. Just weird that that's kind of what we're prioritizing. And then we get a guy that's going to have to kick into D tackle. He's not a DN for our scheme. Brett Downey, but at least he also has a dev trait. Year 9, kind of disappointing that last year during the offseason process after getting 40 touchdowns, we didn't get back the X factor for Bryce Young, but we have a brand new playbook where we're bringing someone over from the Dallas Cowboys offensive staff to run it, and hopefully this is exactly what we need to get Bryce Young back up to an X factor here in year 9. Year 9, we didn't get the divisional title, which I would have liked. We went 9-8, which was the same record we had last year. However, the big thing that we wanted to pay attention to was the offensive change, bringing over some Dallas play calling, and it definitely elevated the offense as Bryce Young went over 5,000 yards, still had 40-plus touchdowns, and we went from barely having a 1,000-yard receiver to almost having 4,000-yard receiver. So I'm patting myself on the back, honestly, for not taking, the Bucks or the Chiefs, and we went with a lower top-tier playbook, and it still was very successful. But is it successful in the playoffs? Let's find out. First round of the playoffs is the 12-5 Baltimore Ravens. Last time we were in, we were one and done. Want to see some form of success, and we absolutely get that in the first round. 38 points put up by the 7-seed Texans. A lot better than the 7 seed. Wasn't a huge game from Bryce Young, but ran the ball particularly well. I'm not going to complain. We're moving on. Chargers in the second round, a little bit tougher opponent. They are 13-4, one of the best teams in the AFC, but too little too late for our Texans here. At least we got a little bit of momentum going. It's a one-score game against a team that is a little bit further along than we are right now. And they're, it could. I just think we need to get that X factor guy at wide receiver. We need our legit wide receiver one for Bryce Young, which doesn't currently exist on this Texans team. End of year 9, look at our scoring. Still no X factor. I would have thought after the year that we had, Bryce Young would have got back up to that X factor, but I guess we need 50 total touchdowns or something to get back to that spot. But he did go over 4,500 yards. He did get 35 total touchdowns, and he made the Pro Bowl, which are 3 upgrades to our offseason wheel. And we only have 1 downgrade, which was our playoff loss. So I think we're going to go heavy on the side of a big free agency signing. Hopefully, there's an elite wide receiver that we can potentially bring in. Here's our wheel. I have doubled up on signing a free agent, and our last would be just draft a stud. Maybe there's going to be one in the draft, and we'll have our 1 potential downgrade, which is drafting a bust. Oh, I hate when it's that close. Come on, 3-1. Luckily, we did roll sign a free agent, which allows us to go out and try to make 1 marquee signing. Now, we need the market to also cooperate with us. We're going to go after the top wide receiver that is available. Not Deshaun Jackson, but this is also a speedy D Jackson. Danny Jackson with 99 speed. Wish he was younger, but there's just a massive drop-off. If maybe there was a superstar or an X-Factor wide receiver that was kind of a sleeper, maybe I'd go with that development, but I just think we just go with the straight speedster. Hopefully he picks us, which he does. That is our 1 big free agency signing. Draft clearly still wanted to improve the pass rushers. We got Eric Truman, 74 normal depth tight end, but the best get was Eric Bigsby, physical wide receiver. Not usually, I almost like going for the speed guys, but we got a 74 hidden dev power. Maybe he's not that slow either, but he's very physical, great athlete as well. Should be a nice wide receiver 3 for us this season. Year 10 for the Bryce Young career mode, our 4th season with the Houston Texans. Here's how kind of things are shaping up. Gigsy's dev trade got unveiled because we obviously have that in our scouting tree. He's just a star dev, which kind of sucks, but is what it is. We need to see the speed of Jackson and Brooks really take off to help out Bryce Young, and maybe Heath continuing to pop off a little bit. Just quick idea of what the defense is looking like. Downey, our first round pick last year, which I criticized, is not a scheme fit. We moved him to the D tackle. He popped with a superstar, which is nice. We have seen some depth trait regression on the defensive side of the ball, but still overall, very good unit. Fully expect playoffs this year. Year 10, we have our best record as a Texan, 10-7, no playoffs. And at least at the end of year 10, we're still going to be able to go in with a spin the wheel. It has more upgrades than downgrades. So our 1 downgrade, we didn't make the playoffs, but our upgrade, we went over 4,500 yards, went over 35 touchdowns. So at least we have a 2-1 for the upgrade to downgrade, and hopefully we can figure out something that can help this Texan team get over the edge. I mean, it doesn't look like it's a receiver problem. Doesn't look like it's the worst defensive problem. Oakley's killing it. I don't know. We got to figure it out. All right, Civil Wheel, draft a stud, sign a free agent, draft a bust. We don't have a lot of money because we're in the last year of our Bryce Young contract. And we roll, draft a stud. So with a non-playoff pick, we're going to go hopefully get a game changer. I'm not going to be biased. If it's on the defensive side, I will pull the trigger there. But ideally, it will be an offensive player. Obviously trying to focus this around Bryce Young. I still think we need more weapons at wide receiver, and it's pretty clear that Drayton looks horrific as the top available one. It's really between Larson, who's a second, third rounder, or Patterson, who's actually at least a legit first rounder. I wish we had a little bit more information, but we know he has B deep route running, and he's pretty damn fast. The second fastest wide receiver, elite acceleration, elite agility, elite speed. That just ticks off a lot of boxes. 95 acceleration, 97 speed, and hidden dev. Hopefully he ends up being a stud for us. On top of Roman Patterson, 75 hidden dev wide receiver. We get a 71 normal dev tackle, which is not bad value, and a nice, interesting developmental corner here. Dave Ewing, 70 hidden dev corner, 6'3". Great athlete. I probably would have picked that guy. But let's hope Patterson is an absolute game changer for our offense. We need him to be one. Year 11 for Bryce Young, and this is a looking at our squad here. Dameon Pierce retired, so we're going with Mays as our brand new running back. We used our coaching tree, unveil a dev trait to find out Patterson is superstar. So that definitely fits the bill of a draft a stud and a game changer for our offense. The rest of the offense looks very solid. We're getting old though. We're starting to get up in age just a little bit. On the defensive side, still a very good defense. Absolutely cannot miss the playoffs back-to-back years at this stage of this video. Year 11 for Bryce Young ends up in the playoffs at least. We got to run the gauntlet here against the Kansas City Chiefs. We go 11-6, looking to win a division. It's been really 4 years now that we've been dry on that front, but still had a pretty good year, all things considered. It's not time to really calculate our score, but look at that. Top 5 in yards, 40 total passing touchdowns. Somehow 40 is 11th in the league, but it looks like he had a pretty damn good year. Let's see what we can do in the playoffs here in year 11. First up is the Kansas City Chiefs, aka the team you never want to play in the AFC, and we lose by a field goal. Our team was actually a lot better, I think, than our ranking, and that is pretty damn disappointing to see. 5 passing touchdowns allowed by a defense, by all accounts, that's pretty dang good at stopping the opposing team throwing. We had the number 3 passing defense, top 6 in the NFL, and we just get skunked. Brutal. So Bryce Young was able to squeak into the Pro Bowl as quarterback 3. He also went over 4,500 yards passing and 35 touchdowns with his, 5,040. So he gets 3 widgets that are going to be upgrades. And of course, because of the playoff loss, unfortunately, there will still be a negative option. But I mean, you do got to credit some of the guys around us. Our running back, we lost Dameon Pierce. Mays looks like he's going to be a stud. Huge year to BJ Heath. We have some depth at wide receiver. I think we're building something here. We just can't run into the Kansas City Chiefs in the first round of the playoffs. I think we'd go further. Year 11 offseason wheels, all going to be about the draft. We have 3 opportunities to make the most of our first round pick, or there's a chance that we have to draft a bust. It's looking pretty good for drafting a stud, which we're going to have to, and I'm going to put, I tripled up on draft because we have no money to sign anybody big in free agency. For a free agency recap, we got ourselves a new starting guard in Jabari Norris, 81 overall, started pretty good. Some reason we got a very small running back, 5'7", buck 77, and we also added depth to the defensive line. And with a massive opening at guard, we have a current starting guard as 64. That's where I need to get my day 1 impact playmaker. We're going to go with Jason Richards. We don't have a whole lot of information on, but he's a first round caliber guard, and his combine is outstanding. Elite change of direction, elite strength, 39 reps, the best in the class. He should be a high ceiling player, and we're very lucky. I was prepared for that to just be a high rating, no dev trait. We get both likely. On top of him hitting 75 with a hidden dev, the general manager, the CPU in the second round, went back on the interior of the line and added Thomas Drummond, a hidden dev guard out of LSU, protecting Bryce Young. Top priority this offseason. Year 12 for Bryce Young, who is looking to get back to a superstar X Factor. He's getting to that point that we're starting to see a little bit of regression as he's 32 years old, down to a 97 overall. We still have 2 years left on our contract. I don't know if this will do anything in this, but let's make him a team captain just in case. But we are ready to rock and roll. On the offensive side of the ball, Mays is back up to a superstar. Heath is back up to a superstar. We have a stud at right guard to help protect him. Our wide receiver room is incredibly depthy. And our defense is, while down our X factor on Oakley, the pass rusher that we drafted, he's still outstanding. And this absolutely, I would love to get a divisional title here in year 12. Year 12, kind of back where we needed to be, a divisional title for the Houston Texans, 12-5, sitting atop of everybody else. Fortunately, are still gonna have to run the gauntlet starting here in the wild card against the 9-8 Cleveland Browns. It's been a minute since we got a win. I feel like this might be a nice opportunity to hop in on the sticks here and see how old man Bryce Young, well, he's not old man yet, but he's getting up there near end of prime. Bryce Young can still operate. Let's hop in. Let's give it to the Browns and see if we can get a little bit of a playoff run going. Flick of the wrist. Touchdown. Hit him with a little verts here. Oh, let's go. Smallest guy in the field. Touchdown at the backfield. We just pulled ahead to end this one. Big time victory for the Texans. 44-24. Outstanding from Bryce Young. In the division round, it is a very good 11-6, 88 overall Miami Dolphins squad that stands between us and an AFC championship game, and we dump another 40 bomb. It was a shootout. Dolphins were very close. They got 14 in the fourth, but luckily Bryce Young was unstoppable when he forced 3 turnovers on the Dolphins quarterback. The AFC championship game has been set. The 12-5 Texans against the 15-2 LA Chargers. Let's hop in and we'll just at least sit front row and see how this one plays out. Super Bowl is on the line. Driving to SoFi Stadium, you already know the Texans are going to be crowding that. It's going to be mostly Texan fans in attendance in this matchup. Chargers jump out to an early lead, but in a game that might be won, oh my God. Maybe it's just the Chargers' year. They're finally not going to choke. Maybe it was Justin Herbert that was the guy that was caused them. Man, why are we only getting field goals? This is our closest chance to a Super Bowl that we've had in this entire rebuild. I don't think we even made a championship game with the Colts. And here we are just unable to get anything. Wow. That is sad, brutal, and depressing. No other way about it. Did Bryce Young at least play well? He did not at all. Chargers defense was unstoppable. That's what I'm taking from this. At the end of year 12, we have upgrade points for a divisional win, for going over 4,500 yards, for going over 35 touchdowns. He also made the Pro Bowl. Our one downgrade comes from our playoff loss, but that's still a 4-to-1 ratio. But now that we're starting to see some regression out of Bryce Young, I'm going to probably prioritize almost all of our upgrade slots on the no regression option, because I don't want him being like a 94 or something like that come back next year. I like mixing it up. We're going to add the one negative instead of draft a bust for year 12. I'm going to throw in an injury because he's starting to get up there in age. But 3 of our 4 positives are no regression whatsoever. I'm going to give us one opportunity to potentially draft a big time pick. No. Are you kidding me? 4-to-1 and we roll the bad one. As we closed out year 12, Bryce Young did have 1 point regression from 97 down to 96. But now with the injury comes a -2 hit to all of his quarterback stats, which is going to sting. Which ends up being a -3 to his total overall. As a 33-year-old, he is a 93 overall quarterback going in to season 13. For some reason, we didn't sign anybody in free agency, but I'll give kudos where kudos is due. The computer hit 3 very nice picks in this draft. Kyle Lawrence, 74, hidden dev pass rusher out of Florida. In the first round, second round, we got Vic, outside linebacker from USC with a hidden dev. And we also got a nice little wide receiver here, 70 in the 5th round. George Smith, North Dakota State, popping with a dev trade. Year 13 for Bryce Young. This is a contract year for him. This is our final year under contract. I think at this point, I don't know if we want to just hit free agency and just see if we can go to a team that's more... I don't know if there's going to be a more complete team at this stage. So I feel a little bit more like I'd want to stay home than I did when our contract came up with the Colts. But obviously, we got to see how this season plays out. It does also sting being that we were 1 win away from going to the Super Bowl. I feel like we're kind of on the cusp there. So we run it back with a very good offense, a very good defense, and I don't see any way we're not a playoff team here in year 13. As we can see here by the contract, he's only looking at 1-year deals at this point in time in his career. I think that's reasonable, and I'm here for it. So we're going to take this 1-year deal and keep Bryce Young here through year 14. Year 13, and we're starting to really show that we are the juggernaut in the AFC. 13-4, that is a divisional title. We have a first-round bye, top 10 offense, top 10 defense. Only that looks weird, we're not going to do a true deep dive, is look right there. Third on the passing leader, Bryce Young, over 5,000 yards passing, which is awesome, but only 30 touchdowns. We actually finished with 34. We had 4 rushing, so that's not going to give us the easy layup, which has been our 35 touchdowns for 1 upgrade in the offseason. Missed out on that. Maybe we're starting to show signs of the injuries piling up and the regression, but at least the team is good this year. First round of the playoffs, an opportunity to avenge last season's loss. Chargers don't look nearly as good. They suffered some regression. We only got a little bit better, and we're able to handle business 34-14 in the division round, back in the AFC Championship game. Very clean game from Bryce Young here today. Was a bridesmaid, never a bride's kind of feeling like the career right now of Bryce Young, but what better time than to take down the Cleveland Browns and punch your ticket to the Super Bowl. Browns quarterback Matt Fowler, 51 touchdowns on the year. Of course they'd be ridiculous. Come on, baby. We're the home team. Things have aligned themselves. Like, I don't even know what quarterback you could compare this to. Like, right now, Bryce Young's career trajectory, as we have a nice little lead, it's like, what, Aaron Rodgers without the 1 Super Bowl? Where it's like, you feel like there should be a lot more postseason success than what we have. But we're looking like we're going to be able to go at least halftime, up 14-9, get another touchdown. But the Browns are not going to go away. They got a quarterback with 51 tutties. I'm sure he's going to get his at some point in this game. But we're doing a decent job making them settle for a couple field goals here on the drive, a turnover. And I think that should be enough. Year 13. And finally, Bryce Young. And I got way too close to the end. But finally, Bryce Young has made a Super Bowl. That was an outstanding performance. Almost 400 yards, 4 touchdowns on the day. The Super Bowl has been set as we meet the 15-2 Detroit Lions, who, oh, I don't know, just have the #1 offense and #2 defense in the league. Sounds easy. I think for where we're at here, I think this is going to be a legitimate play of the moments. We'll let the sim do a lot of the work, but if things get a little dicey, maybe we hop in, throw a bomb or two, see if we can get the offense jump-started. 2 straight field goals for Detroit. Looks like, you know, it's all there, but we get the first touchdown of the game. That's all you need. That's all you need. Our defense have come to play today. 3 field goals. We have the lone touchdown. As long as we keep out the end zone here before half, which we cannot. But we do get a very nice drive to punch that in for a touchdown. Detroit got a touchdown. Looks worried. Let's do it. We get a touchdown here. I'll make the computer get the 2-pointer. So it's not all me. But if we can try to get a tutty, that'd be awesome if we could. Jackson, the speed stretch, just sent him deep. There's no safety. Look, runs right past him. He's old. He might not have the same speed that he once had. It's probably 96 instead of 99 when we signed him, but that is a great play to get this drive started. I think we're definitely in the area here of, like, let's chew up as much. Like, this needs to be our touchdown 2-point to go to overtime. I don't know if I have a lot of faith. The O-line protecting here. Let's get some yards. Go for a run here just to get the clock going. Oh my god. Almost like let's just... We got ourselves set up nicely. 1st and goal. Maybe if we could chew more clock would be ideal. But we're here. Running back. Oh, he makes it. Okay, that might work out. The clock's going to keep rolling. This actually was so much attention on Bryce Young. We might be able to punch us in with the running back. Running right at the heart of their defense. They got 2 X factors. But it gets blocked up nicely. And that is a 2-point conversion away, which is going to have to go on the CPU from forcing this to overtime. Can they do it? Let's run it back next year, man. We're coming back for another year. Year 14. Let's learn from this. Let's grow from this. I don't even think this game was particularly close, though. When I was in there, it said the yards were like, they had well over 500 total yards. We had barely over 300. The Lions are just a juggernaut. Hopefully, they just get blown up in the offseason. Can't afford to pay anybody. We'll be back for the year 13 offseason wheel. This is going to be as dicey as it's been in a minute. We had the divisional win, which is 1 upgrade. We had over 4,500 yards passing, which is 2 upgrades. However, we had a playoff loss and with doubles, a double whammy, because it was also a Super Bowl loss. So we're going to have 2 positives, 2 negatives, and we are very close to adding a brand new downgrade, which is retirement. I think we're still going to, I don't want to add it yet. In my mind, I was like year 15. Any year after that, we could throw it in, but we're getting very close to that point. Here's our year 13 offseason wheel. We have draft a stud and no regression. And on the negative downgrades, we have draft a bust or another potential injury. And it's been a minute, but we have rolled draft a bust, which means when it comes to our first round pick, I got to pick the worst guy on the board. Bryce Young starting to question how many more years he has left. Our tight end that's been a 1-2 punch with Bryce Young has decided to hang him up. So he is here sitting ahead looking at year 14 being how many more do I have left? Well, we actually signed some free agents this year after not having any last year. We got a veteran tight end and a punter. Whoa, slow your roll. That's definitely what we're missing to win the Super Bowl. And our punishment is to draft a bust, and there is as easy of a bust as I have seen for a first-round grade player. I don't even know if we need a D tackle, but we have Linval Haskins, D block shed, F tackle, and nothing even remotely. 20 reps on the bench press. This guy is truly one of the worst first-rounders I've ever seen, so glad that we can make the most of our downgrade. A legitimate first round grade player. I mean, I guess he was late first round, second round. 61. We made the most of it. So we are ahead of year 14. I'm just going to make a consensus right now. I slept on it last night, and there is a little bit of like, as we play, we figure out more things because this is the first episode, and quarterbacks are going to be a little bit different. Eventually, I want to do a running back career mode. I want to do Bijan Robinson, for an example. But quarterbacks are always going to play a lot later than some of those other players. So I think at year 15, that is when, if there is a potential downgrade at season's end scoring, and he's still playing, we're going to add the widget of potential retirement. But that will be at year 15, because obviously there's going to be other quarterbacks that we're going to want to do a career mode for. But we are now focusing on year 14 for Bryce Young. The team around him is still very good. We are getting a little bit older, but generally speaking, we're still definitely right in line to contend for perhaps another Super Bowl. Get a little bit worried about our secondary. However, Derek Stingley is an old man at this point. Luckily, we have very good safeties. And I think as it relates to contracts here in year 14, Bryce Young very interested in kind of finishing his career out with the Houston Texans, but I do want to wait and see. There's no rush for us to get this one over the line. Worst case scenario, we kind of finish his career elsewhere, maybe go to a different true contender, but I kind of want to see how the season plays out as we are 5-4 at the midway point. And if we miss out on the playoffs, I don't know if I want to tie Bryce Young down here to Houston for another season. At the end of year 14, we win the AFC South with a nice 11-6 record. And I do think as soon as we possibly can, we're going to renegotiate and come back with Bryce Young for another year. Look at that, second in the NFL, 5,100 passing yards, 40 touchdowns. A great year. He's only getting better with age. And also, look at CJ Oakley, our edge rusher there, leading the league with 18 sacks. So we're getting it done on both sides of the field. We open up the playoffs in the wild card round against the Miami Dolphins, which should be a winnable game. It was close. 31-28 against the Dolphins as we try to run out the gauntlet here as the number 4 seed. Ooh, actually wasn't the best game by Bryce Young. We got bailed out by the defense in this one. How many wins have we won because it's been a Bryce Young? And every now and again, having someone else kind of pick you up a little bit is what's needed. So now we got the cheat code in the division round, the 12-5 Kansas City Chiefs. We'll just sim this one out so I'm not frustrated just watching us lose to the team that's impossible to beat. And that's the exact same score line. Control C, Control V, 31-28. And Bryce Young played a better game. Still had the turnover, which I'm not in love with. And Mahomes obviously is already retired at this stage, but okay. A little bit of a shift here. And we are a win away from from the Super Bowl, 11-6 Texans, 10-7 Denver Broncos. Let's get a front row seat for this one. For the home team, I don't know. That matters. Bryce Young's got all his loved ones in attendance. You never know if this is the last one. Last hurrah. He really wants that Super Bowl. And all of a sudden, we're going to try to pull a John Elway here, oddly enough, against the Denver Broncos. Outstanding career, even better than what John Elway was at the point when he finally got his rings with the Broncos. But looks like it's a battle here, and we're going to go in halftime tied 10 apiece. Both defenses getting theirs. Looks like our defense is the first one to kind of start slowing down here as 2 straight touchdown drives from the Denver Broncos. We're able to equalize to give us a shot. They actually get it on 4th down. Oh my God, they get a 4th down and a long 3rd down conversion. This one is going to fall on the laps of our defense. Yeah, that's, you know, I'm not even going to be salty. That was a 4th down and 2 third downs that we had a chance to get off the field to try to win this one, or try to at least put the ball in the hands of Bryce Young. And they let us down. But I think ultimately we're still very close with the Houston Texans. I think we re-up here and we finish our career as a Texan. So taking a look at our offseason scoring here for year 14. We won the division, which is an upgrade. 4,500 yards, 35 touchdowns. He also made the Pro Bowl. That's good. The bad is we have the playoff loss in the AFC Championship game. And for the first time ever, Bryce Young was top 5 in interceptions, which is another downgrade. So we are going to have 4 upgrades, 2 downgrades on the offseason wheel. You know what? We're back-to-back years of a Super Bowl loss, AFC Championship loss. So I'll give him a 2-year re-up for Bryce Young. Here's our year 14 wheel spin. We have signed free agent, no regression, no regression, no regression for our upgrades. He actually already had his regression. He's down to a 90. So if we roll that, we'll bump it back up to a 91, which is where he was last year. We have draft a bust and an injury, and I think from every year on after this, we're going to have a retirement option here. Why? Why are we only getting the negatives? This is brutal. So before the injury, and I guess at this point, injury doesn't have to be taken literally as an injury. It can be an injury, or it could just be old age. Bryce Young is a 90 overall before he gets hit with this regression. Pretty much anytime we hit injury roll, it is at least a -2 to -3 to his base rating, and he's now going to go into year 15 as an 87 overall. Actually landed a big fish in free agency. Kind of reminds me of the year that we got Trevon Diggs as a legit signing. We got Silas Clayton, an 87 superstar, which definitely helps out our secondary. We also had a depth tight end and a kicker. Our draft recap ended up getting a little bit of like a worm burner, wet fart of a 1st-round pick. Normal dev defensive tackle. But we do get a nice value in the 4th round. Armon Young, hidden dev guard at an A&M, 73 overall. So it is time for year 15. Bryce Young. What I want to do actually before we start the season, because now at this point, you almost feel like we're chasing records a little bit. I wonder where he's sitting all time. 35 years old, 14 years in the league, has suffered some bad regression the last couple of years, but he's still playing at an all-time level. And we're Super Bowl loss 2 years ago. Last year, AFC Championship game loss. Is this going to be the year this old man gets over the hump? Looking at the cutoffs of all time, that's kind of what you want to finish. We need over, let's say, 72,000 passing yards. And for the passing touchdowns, we're going to need to beat 526. So from a yard standpoint, we're probably 2 years away. If we can get and play out the final of this contract that we just signed, the 2-year deal, we will get in it for a yard standpoint. But I definitely think this season, you're going to see Bryce Young in the top 10 touchdowns all time in an NFL career. Year 15 for Bryce Young. It is another dominant AFC South title win, 13-4. Look at the rest of the league. He's still holding up, man. Top 3 in passing leaders for yardage, 38 touchdowns. Maybe a little off the mark of what we'd like to see, but still, generally speaking, playing very good football. We open up with a divisional matchup in the wild card round against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we absolutely make quick work out of them. And it sets up a battle of the 2 13-4 teams in the AFC. As it's Texans, as it's Patriots, 2 organizations that have kind of had a lot of history together, even though there's not really a rivalry. And it's a close one. It sets up a rematch of last year's championship game. The 1 and the 2 were still the best teams in the NFL. And maybe even more impressive, the Broncos did knock off the Kansas City Chiefs. But in this matchup, clean game from Bryce Young. We are totally leading on his experience in this one, but we are going to do what we did last time. We're going to hop right in. Maybe this time we'll play a snap or two if things get a little dicey, but with a Super Bowl on the line, a rematch from last year's AFC Championship game. This time we are in the Denver Broncos' backyard. We were the home team last time. Maybe that's what we need. Maybe we're going to be road dogs in this situation. That's going to propel us. And I'm going to say, I'm starting to get a little bit worried about where our team's salary cap is at. I think we're getting real close. And I mean that more so. I think it's going to be tough. I think this is our window right now to win a Super Bowl, to have a team that's very good. Because I think we're going to take a little bit of a step back next year. And as you can see, I don't know, man. Maybe the Denver Broncos are just, you know, we can't beat them. Somehow we just cannot do it. But we're going to try. We're going to help them out here. 3rd and 6 for Bryce Young. We got Brooks. We got Patterson. Well, we have Pat. Oh, my God, are you kidding me? That's not how this ends. That's how this ends, most likely. Fourth and 1. Antonio Mace, our lone X factor on the offensive side of the ball. He needs 1 yard. Our offensive line is actually very good. I'd be surprised if we don't have the best offensive line in the NFL. And Mays able to run behind his lead blockers, gets tackled for the first down. Good run there. He's not had the biggest game. We're clearly trying to win this one. And that's a quick score, 31-31. And our defense holds them to a field goal attempt. We equalize, and we're just going to give up for the easy field goal to lose. All right, we'll come in on this one. You already know what we're going to run. We sit down on this. We sit down and we say, hey, Bryce, have you watched something called Pink Slips? Because we're going to need you. It's not looking good because no one's pressing. We're going to need you to get a ridiculous touchdown here to win and go to the Super Bowl. I don't think it's ever going to happen. We got one more year at the Texans, but I don't know, man. Feels like this is just... He's got to be one of the greatest to never win a Super Bowl. He's this generation's Dan Marino. For our year 15 offseason wheel, it's actually looking pretty good. We only have the one downgrade, which is that playoff loss. We won the division, 4,500 yards, 35 touchdowns, copy and paste. We also made the Pro Bowl this year for Bryce Young. So that is 4 positives to 1 negative. I'm sure we're going to roll the 1 downgrade because that's what we've been doing. And at least we end year 15. Bryce Young is on the all-time passing touchdown leaders list. And if we run it back another year with the rate that he's been, 30, 40, somewhere in that range, we got sights on Drew Brees, on Josh Allen, and my God, Mac Jones and Trevor. What the? We got sights on Drew Brees and Josh Allen. Picture this is kind of where he's at for his career. 69,000 passing yards. So he most likely will make that top 10 passing yard all-time leader next year, as long as he doesn't surprisingly retire this offseason or we roll the retirement. But yeah, hell of a career so far for Bryce Young. First ballot Hall of Famer, even without the Super Bowl. The loser wheel. That's what we're going to call it because we've been rolling nothing but the bad things. But we have 4 no regressions. We want to keep as an 87 quarterback. But we have, at year 15, decided to throw in the retirement. That's not how we want to see this one end whatsoever. So luckily, we roll no regression. He's going to stay at 87 overall quarterback. Our draft recap had a pretty solid top end of the draft. We got a 74 normal dev D tackle at a TCU. In the second round, George Devlin, a hidden dev 76 tight end. Great asset for the offense. Year 16 for Bryce Young. He actually regressed down to an 85, but because we rolled no regression, we got to bump that back up, keep it at 87, which is where he was last year. So that actually was a pretty huge roll in the context of what we are looking at ahead of our year 16 season as Bryce Young chases to get on the top 10 all-time career passing yards list. He looks to keep going up, all-time career touchdown list. But most importantly, year 16, the pursuit for a Super Bowl continues. Year 16, regular season conclusion, another divisional title, 14. How many more years can he, I don't know what the cutoff is going to be. He's still playing at a very high level, 4,700 yards, 40 total touchdowns. Interceptions are starting to creep up just a little bit. Like, he did look like when all said and done, we might have like one of the best touchdown to interception ratio. Maybe catch Aaron Rodgers. But the last couple of years, we have 34 picks over the last 2 years, which is certainly putting a dent in that. But Bryce Young, at this point in his career, still playing some of the best football. He is so hungry for a freaking Super Bowl. Our first round bye, we get to kick our feet up and we await the 9-8 New England Patriots in the AFC divisional round. An opportunity to get back to the championship game. They were barely above 500. It was an ugly, low-scoring match. I only imagine Bill Belichick at like 100 years old, still on the sideline for the Patriots. Neither quarterback played particularly well, but our experience, we had a lot of playoff, I'm going to say winning experience, but we have a lot of playoff experience. It definitely helped us in this matchup as we are going back to the AFC Championship game. Our matchup is the 13-4 Cleveland Browns, a team that we are on both sides of the football better than. We're due. We've got to be due. In front of the home fans, Bryce Young has an opportunity to get back to the Super Bowl. We've only made the Super Bowl once, and we did lose it. But that is a thing of the past. This is an old man who's still playing some of the best football of his career, desperate to go to the playoffs and win a Super Bowl. Get some hardware. And it's not looking particularly good. We're just cursed. I don't know. The Colts were cursed. Maybe it's Bryce Young. I don't know why this team cannot get over the hump. I don't know why the Colts couldn't get over the hump. If we get a stop here and we can have a chance to come in, let's do it. Shot play right at the bat. Not getting pressed by anybody. That's something we've kind of rolled into. Sometimes you get like a nice press look right away, but at least we can get something quick on the slot. The Brooks, the speed, he's a veteran. He's been here forever. Big time play. Bryce Young playing good football. We'll go no huddle here. Right at the sideline. Brooks, both feet in. Gets out of bounds, stop the clock. Now, we don't want to score. Might want to actually run this once. Because if we have any confidence we're going to be able to score a touchdown here, you don't want to give the Browns any time. That's a nice little slant to Brooks. He's been our guy. Come on. He beats him on the inside, and he breaks the tackle. Might not have been the worst thing if he would have fallen down like on the one or something like that. But there is a go-ahead score. Biggest drive of Bryce Young's career. Yes. It's not done yet. What on a 4-touchdown, 300-yard performance, Bryce Young gets to his second ever Super Bowl. To win our first Super Bowl, the team standing in our way is the 11-6, 88 overall LA Rams. There's that dude, man. Come on, please. Rest of the team, like this, got to be like an all-time pep talk. The Rams aren't the best. Get one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game of Super Bowl. We get a nice 14-0 to start. Start out icy hot. Shaq sponsoring that first quarter. Getting another touchdown. Nice instant touchdown from the Rams. Maybe makes us a little bit more competitive. But this looks like man on a mission type stuff from the Houston Texans. Go in the second half. Momentum seems to shift the way of the Rams. We'll come in here on 3rd and inches. Just help them. I got to help them over the line at this point. Like, who knows? Bryce Young could very well retire this offseason. If we don't do a little bit to help him here, get over the line, I think I'd feel pretty bad. That was not a pretty run, but it got the first down. It moved the chains. Exactly what we needed. Drive continues. Another 3rd down, which we had a punt. Probably should have played that. As the Rams are going to go down, they score. We got to do this. 3rd and inches. Come on, baby. Come on, set him up. Set him up for this. What? I'm going to burn a timeout just in case the sim didn't take a timeout. Make it. How did we miss? How did we? That was a. Huh. We missed like a 30-yard field goal to win it. They didn't even ice us. We go to Brooks. Gets the first. I mean, better way to put this with a touchdown. Let's get this with a Bryce Young touchdown to win it. He's had an outstanding game. Clear favorite for Super Bowl MVP. What better way than just hitting double slants? We're taking off himself, Bryce Young. Let's go. I can't sleep, but I can't get too hype. Year 16 in overtime. Bryce Young gets it. You know, the only thing is he could have just got smashed up in the air, done a helicopter spin like Elway. Incredibly reminiscent of the career of John Elway. Bryce Young, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, a top 10 quarterback of all time. But there's always been that but. No Super Bowl. I forgot the rules. Didn't they have the ball first? Okay, let's just act like that touchdown. There's no way that was the opening drive score. Either Bryce Young's touchdown, that was the winning touchdown. We're gonna modify history. Oh my God! If we would, it's a Super Bowl win. That's all. Nothing just happened. Bryce Young just got the rushing touchdown to win the game. All right, that's all you need to know. That's all I need to know. That was too close for comfort. Hell of a last drive. His stat line's gonna be ridiculous. He's easily the MVP. Let's see it here, man. We got to get this moment in here. All right, all right, all right. Everyone up there. Coach. I mean, our coach also has been through the up and down. He's been here for a lot of time. We started with the Colts, but we've done more of our career with the Texans. And I think probably with how we've done, Bryce Young's going to identify as a Texan at this point. And there we go. 16 long seasons. He gets it done. He's easily the Super Bowl MVP. 400 yards on the day. 2 touchdowns. Let's go. Before we do any upgrades, see if he retires or not, this is kind of where Bryce Young is after 16 seasons. He has officially cracked the top 10 passing yards leader. It's going to be close to make that next jump. That's like another 2 years. But, you know, he'd be able to make a lot of ground there, I think, if he plays another 2 more seasons. But for the passing touchdowns, firmly on this list at 590. He comes back one more year. The rate that he's playing, we could be top 5 all time by the end of next season if he decides he doesn't want to go out on top. For our upgrades this year, we won the division. We won the Super Bowl. We had 4,500 yards passing. We had over 35 touchdowns. That is very nice for Bryce Young. No negatives on this spin the wheel if he wants to run it back, which is good for him. Maybe that entices him to run it back and see if he can win back-to-back Super Bowls. He's still here. He didn't retire. He's looking for a 1 year. That's a very affordable deal. Let's bump that up. Make sure he doesn't go anywhere. We'll give him 7.5. He just won the freaking Super Bowl. 40 touchdowns. MVP. 1 more year for Bryce Young. As opposed to the continuity of the video, we did have 4 upgrades, no downgrades. It's clearly we're going to go no regression to keep Bryce Young at an 87 overall, which is where he was at the beginning of year 16, because the downgrade has hit. He hit a -4. He's down to an 83 overall. Let's bump that back up to an 87. Year 16 offseason, very limited cap space, so we didn't sign anybody in free agency. We did our damage during the draft. We got a 72 hidden dev right tackle in the 2nd round and a very nice pass rusher in the 1st round. Darren Sloan out of Kansas State, 75 hidden dev. How fitting at 37 years old would it be for Bryce Young to get a dynasty going here with Houston with back-to-back Super Bowls? Let's find out. Rest of the team around him, we still got Mays. We got some weapons. The wide receivers have been here for a minute. Offensive line still very good. Darby, our 2nd round pick, is going to start at right tackle. Might as well make Devlin our starting tight end too, just to have a superstar out there. The extra abilities plus the chemistry that already has. On the defense, still a great unit. Oakley's been here for a minute. Downey's been here for a minute. Vic Beck, that linebacking core has been together for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years now. It's good. We're good. We have the talent to do this and run it back here in year 17. Year 17 might not have been as pretty as the last couple years, but 9-8 is still good enough for another AFC South title and an opportunity to defend our Super Bowl crown in the Super Bowl. Statistically speaking, you know, it's all about when is he going to start showing his age, and I'm not seeing it. He cut down on the interceptions and is still playing like a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. Playoff journey starts against the 11-6 Dolphins. They're probably on the other side looking, this team's barely above 500. I don't care if they're defending Super Bowl champions. We're going to smoke them, and that'd be incorrect as we handle business 38-28. And to make it to the championship, it's the New York Jets that are standing in our way. We're trying to run through the AFC East, and it's exactly what we've done to punch another ticket to a championship game against a little bit of a rival here. Over the last couple seasons, we meet the Denver Broncos with a return trip to the Super Bowl on the line. Denver hasn't been the funnest team to play, but, you know, we've been able to get ours as much as they've been able to get theirs, it feels like, over the last, 5 years or so, kind of viewing it in that bubble. They get the first touchdown of the game. We're able to settle for a field goal. At least we get points, but it looks like it could be a low-scoring game. And in a low-scoring game, you almost want to say, I'll take the experience of Bryce Young in this situation. Gets the touchdown before halftime to tie it up at 10. Looks like Denver's going to be able to kick a field goal to go into halftime with a slim lead. Both teams kind of punting it, going back and forth. We go to the red zone, get the go-ahead score. First lead of the game. Very short-lived as Denver kicks a field goal, but they're settling for field goals. We are finding ways to get touchdowns as the Broncos march their way down the field. We're down by 3. Come on. Okay, we're going to overtime. And I don't think that worked out well for us. Should have played it. If we didn't just have that Super Bowl, I'd be so devastated that I didn't play that last drive. Trevor Lawrence still doing the damn thing. Oh, Jesus Christ, how well he's even holding the Bryce Young. 30-27. Our repeat for Super Bowl glory ends in the AFC Championship game. Just a game away, man. Tough loss. Who would have thought for the all-time record we'd be chasing Trevor Lawrence, who's still playing at a ridiculously high level in his past with Brady Mahomes. Jesus, Bryce Young is right there, just inside the top 5 passing touchdowns all time. And for passing yards, if he runs it back for another year, I think we will be able to get into that top 5 again. Obviously, a lot of this does weigh on if he's going to return or not. But Bryce Young, we had a divisional win, 4,500 yards, 35 touchdowns, made the Pro Bowl. That is 4 upgrades. The only downgrade is the playoff loss. However, nice little addition for Bryce Young. It's been a minute. He is back up to a superstar X-Factor quarterback. It's been, 6 years that we've been duck on superstar, back up to an X-Factor. Maybe that's enough to get him to run it back. Late stage of this, probably for a lot of quarterback career modes that we do, it's going to look likely like this. Our 4 upgrades, no regression. Let's keep him as an 88. Retirement is now going to be probably every single downgrade. And luckily, as long as he himself wants to run it back, we will be an 88 X Factor in year 18 for Bryce Young. Trevor Lawrence finally retired after 19 seasons. Maybe we can make a little bit of ground here on the all-time stat list, as Bryce Young has not decided to retire. We got him back on a 1-year deal. Like $2 million of salary cap, so there was no one signed in free agency. Our impacts had to come via the draft. We get another hidden dev tight end. We're just excellent at drafting tight ends for what it's worth. A 72 normal dev guard, and the big get in the first round is a 74 hidden dev safety, Ladarius McGee out of USC. Year 18 for Bryce Young, back up to an X Factor, and just actually earned an upgrade point from the offseason. So instead of being an 80, he's an 89. Feeling the best he has in the last couple years. Now knowing, too, it's about legacy. It's also about getting another Super Bowl. But Trevor Lawrence, who's top dog in all-time touchdowns and yards, has retired. So from here on in, it's his, as long as he wants to play, it's in his sights to go down as the most productive quarterback in NFL history. But he's got to have a big year or 2 to catch Trevor Lawrence. It's weird that we're still waiting for the year that Bryce Young slipped up. He's first in the NFL in touchdowns. Year 8 is Brady. He's a little bit of Brady. He's a little bit of a bunch of different quarterbacks. We also win the AFC South. Very one-sided, 14-3. One of our best overall years. And let's see if we can actually go on a run here. Not be one and done. This will be actually one of the most disappointing losses. We did lose. We absolutely kicked the living shit out of the Buffalo Bills. 42-14. Divisional round, running the full gauntlet. Next up is the Jets. Come on. Just do it. Straight sim. Straight sim to the Super Bowl. We are the best team in the NFL. We are the best team in the NFL. Let's go. Super Bowl matchup against the Cardinals awaits for the number 2 offense, number 5 defense. Just a casual MVP type season year 18 for Bryce Young, and a Super Bowl opportunity. Get that second Super Bowl. As far as the records are concerned before the Super Bowl, just because in case we win, we forget, he is now top 5 solidified in passing yards. It's going to be tough, I think, to catch Brady. Definitely very tough to catch Trevor Lawrence, but I do think, obviously, we run it back one more year. Could move into third all-time at pass Patrick Mahomes. Touchdowns is a lot more in reach. As long as he comes back for one more year on the pace that he's been hitting, we could finish with all-time touchdown leader for Bryce Young, and hopefully we do so as a 2-time Super Bowl champion. This matchup features the 84 overall Arizona Cardinals against the 89 overall Houston Texans. I haven't seen the Cardinals in the Super Bowl or deep in the playoffs a whole lot. We've been living in the playoffs for the Houston Texans, so big-time experience advantage. But maybe the Cardinals are the young guns. They're the team that's never been here before. They got fresh legs, if you will, for this run as they get a lead here, but we are able to capitalize and go into halftime with a 17-14 lead. We play a clean second half, and this is going to be another Super Bowl title. We did just miss an extra point, which hopefully won't come back to bite us in the ass. 2nd and 1. Why not? It's been a minute. Let's see if we can get a nice little touchdown here. At least a first down, but I would love a touchdown. There we go. Patterson, great grab. We'll go no huddle. We'll go no huddle, please. Let's go right back to Patterson. Linebacker switched off. Easy read. That could be a potential dagger. Rowan Patterson's been here for 10 years now, it feels like. And an opportunity with Bryce Young, which we are going to get this one over the line. That is finally a second Super Bowl. Deserve it for Bryce Young. Maybe not as epic as the last Super Bowl, but the fact that year 18, a near 40-year-old quarterback wins the Super Bowl, has an MVP. That's Tom Brady. He just pulled an Elway 2 years ago, and then in year 18 pulls a Brady. What's next? Literally, he only needs to come back to see if he can catch Trevor Lawrence for all-time touchdown leader. But if he decides to hang him up, there's not much left number 7 there can prove. He's established himself as one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. And I guess if he wants to keep playing, like maybe he wants to be the greatest, one of one, the top. It's going to be close. It's going to be tough because obviously you have to probably catch Tom Brady for total Super Bowls. But at least we got our second. I'm happy to see that. Who's 3 pillars of our offense. Colt Sullivan, Kruger, and Chad Brooks have all retired. But you know who didn't? Bryce Young. Coming back for year 19. Make the contract official. You might as well play a full 20. Can't do 19. Like that's bad, mojo. Going 19 years instead of 20. Coming off his MVP caliber season, we have 6 upgrades. So I decided to split up 3 for no regression, and with $61 million of salary cap because of those 3 retirements, I feel like, hey, why not maybe sign a juicy free agent if we need one? And that looks like that's what we're getting. I probably should actually mix these up a little bit better. But hey, we get to flex our muscles in free agency and hopefully bring a game changer to win another Super Bowl in year 19. And with Brooks retiring at wide receiver, a massive hole has opened up, phrasing. So I decided, why not? Let's get one of the top wide receivers available. An X Factor, Dakota Waters. We're going to come in with a massive bid to try to get him to be our new wide receiver 1, which is exactly what we're able to land. Look at that speed. The 2041 draft was a little top heavy, but we still get a great player in the first round. 75 strong safety out of Georgia, Grant Franklin. Probably going to see the field sooner than later in his rookie season. Year 19, team looks good, especially adding an X Factor at wide receiver. However, because we decided to go after that X Factor at wide receiver, Bryce Young, 39 years old, faced the regression. So he goes from an 89, I believe is where he was last year. My huge -6 to his overall. We'll be interested to see the level of play we got this season out of Bryce Young. End of year 19, at least we get to go to the playoffs. Not a divisional title. Goes to the Colts. They're back up on top again. It seems like it's been since we left them way back in year 6 to 7. Colts kind of been mid, but they are back and they are able to win the division. Looking at Bryce Young, this is the year that we're worried about a regression a little bit. Definitely took a step back for stats, but at least for scoring, if he runs it back, we hit the yards, we hit the touchdown goal, which works out well. So there's at least 2 upgrades that we have for this offseason. Let's see if we can run the gauntlet here. Starts off against the Colts in the wild card round. Year 19. Ooh, one and done. I don't know. I don't want to say this is the beginning of the end, but definitely a little far off the mark of where we have been years past. Let's see if Bryce Young wants to come back for year 20. 19 closes. Bryce Young, third all-time in yards. If he runs it back for year 20, will at least pass Tom Brady for second. And now he has sole possession, the first quarterback in NFL history to get 700 touchdowns. His stats, in case he does decide to run it back, we do have a 2-to-1 upgrade to downgrade ratio, as he did get his yards and touchdowns. However, the one playoff loss does represent a opportunity. That is going to be a retire option. He's coming back for year 20. Mays, who's been our long-standing running back. Oakley was the X-Factor pass rusher we drafted. They're all hanging him up. Bryce Young is back for year 20, pending the wheel. He has to kind of jump through 2 hoops of potential retirement. He passes the Madden one. Will he pass the offseason wheel? See, this is impactful. 2 no regressions, because at this point, if he regresses, it's going to be into the 70s. So we are here for year 20 of Bryce Young, no regression. Those retirements that we had that was not Bryce Young did give us a little bit of salary cap in the computer. We got ourselves a 80 start FD tackle, which is nice, and a pretty average running back. It's been a minute since we've got like a really good draft pick. Couple, 470s ain't too bad. Our first round pick at pick 22 was a 73 hidden dev corner. But, I don't know, man. We need to hit a superstar, an X factor in the draft here. Help out our roster out. We're here for year 20. Bryce Young and the Houston Texans. You can definitely see the team around us is starting to fall apart just a little bit. We're still pretty good. We're still definitely a playoff caliber team. But I did not expect this to go 20 years. And you can see why a little bit on the fly here in our first episode of like a career mode like this, that we have a retirement option needs to kind of come in on the wheel. Maybe sometimes it's not going to be related to off-field project. Maybe these guys want to, in realism terms, want to spend time with their family. They just want to hang them up. And, I don't want every quarterback career mode to go this far every single time. I want this to be special. As we look at Bryce Young, we have rolled no regression, so he is ready to run it back as an 83, still as a superstar X Factor. Let's see what he can do here in year 20 with really the only thing we have left to achieve, obviously, is to keep stacking Super Bowls in search of that third one, but also to catch Trevor Lawrence for all-time passing yards leader. I think we're probably going to need well over 4,000 this year. Let's see what Bryce Young has in the tank. Uh-oh. That's not good. Well, the record was not good. Everything else was dropping off. The one consistent remained. Bryce Young is incredible. Top 5 quarterback again. 40, almost, we'll round that up. 5,000 yards passing, 45 touchdowns to 12 interceptions as a 40-year-old man. He's Brady. All-time passing yards leader, 94,000. This rate's not going to retire. He's going to go for 100,000 passing yards. Touchdowns and yards belongs to Bryce Young. 2 Super Bowls. 3 MVPs. And the question on everyone's mind, is he coming back for year 21? Off-season scoring, if he does want to run it back, his yards, his touchdowns, and he made the Pro Bowl are 3 upgrades on the wheel. The only negative is that we didn't make the playoffs, so it's going to be a 3-to-1 ratio if we can convince Bryce Young to return for year 21. Why not? Why not? At this point, I want to see 100,000 passing yards. He's close to 100,000 total. He might have even, one more year, he'll be over 100,000 total yards. Well over 800 touchdowns. He's the GOAT. He's the GOAT. Don't retire. This is insane. He's not retired. He passed the first stage of no retirement. And he's only about 400 yards away from 100,000 all time. I can see why he wants to run it back. Let's do it. It is time to spin the wheel. We're going 2 no regressions, 1 sign a free agent. No. Let's go. Year 21. Holy shit, let's go. Spent a little money in free agency here, adding a new running back, Gio Jackson. He's a veteran at this point, maybe looking for some playoff success. And we brought back Darren Sloan at pass rusher, a player that we originally drafted, hit the open market, but brought him back. And take a look at our draft. They did the disrespectful thing. They are getting a potential successor in place. The disrespect. First round, we got a hit dev pass rusher, Marco Lippett out of Michigan State. It's been rare that we've had a pick this close to the top 10. Second round, we get a nice, so we literally just double up on what we signed in free agency. And we got Juan Woods, very good looking running back out of Kentucky. Year 21 for Bryce Young. We rolled no regression, so he stays as an 83 X Factor, 41 years old. I don't know what else you can say. Team's good enough to not miss out on the playoffs this year for sure. Got a great tight end. Offensive line is solid. Got solid receivers. Got a lot of depth. 85, 86, 89 superstar. And the defense is hanging on. The defense is solid. So I think, why not? Why not make the playoffs? Let's let this old man carry us to the playoffs. At the end of year 21, 41-year-old Bryce Young, you might be saying, C4, what can he still do? What level is he still playing at? 11-6, another AFC South title. First in passing yards, third in touchdowns with 42. Unfortunately, the only thing that was bad is we are runner-up for the MVP. I wonder, though, at that age, did he give it all for the regular season to chase those all-time accolades to push it so he's never caught? What does he have left for the playoffs? Well, we defeat the Jaguars into the wild card divisional round matchup against the Cleveland Browns, and we handle business. We are back in the AFC Championship game, this time against the 12-5 Dolphins. Let's get a front row seat. This just never ends, though. I'm going to be honest. At this point, can we stop padding our stats here? This is like my 5th day of recording this video. It'd be nice if we could like maybe go on a Super Bowl run and he rides off into the sunset. But knowing the dog mentality that Bryce Young currently has, I don't know, man. He might just want to keep playing until literally he can't play no more. He's catching Brady. He wants 5 rings. He's like, what haven't I achieved yet? How many rings does Brady have? I got to get 7 rings when all is said and done. We had started out very hot in this game, but momentum has shifted a little bit for the Dolphins here in the second half. Looks like they're getting ready to kick the field goal. Touchdown there, extends the lead. We are up double. And it looks like we're going to be able to kind of just kill this game off. And at 41 years old, year 21, Bryce Young is back in the Super Bowl. Super Bowl matchup is set. The 86 overall Texans against the 86 overall Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta doesn't know what they're in for. They don't know that they're going up against a guy whose ambitions are not just to win another Super Bowl, but to go down as the greatest to ever do it. Bryce Young will not be denied against the Falcons. Opening drive, Houston goes down the field, gets a touchdown. I think our defense, maybe the weakest it's been in quite some time. Maybe the weakest it's been all time since we've been here in Houston. But the offense still operating at an incredibly high level. Bryce Young still operating at an MVP candidate level. And we get 28 points in the first half. Borderline teasing with an early pay. This is just, at this point, disgusting. We're going to come in here in the red zone first. You got to get a touchdown with this old man. Noodle arm, I don't care what it is. You can't teach experience. We got an X factor there and Smith in the slot. Just float that over the safety linebacker right between them. And that will be dagger. Went from a legitimate point in this video. They do get an instant touchdown. They went from a legitimate point in this video where like, is he going to be Dan Marino? Is he going to be one of the greatest of all time? Maybe the greatest of all time without a Super Bowl and able to get our 3rd Super Bowl victory. We're not even going to gloat, man. Wasn't even close. 6 touchdowns for Bryce. He can't retire. This video is literally going to go on for 9 days. 3 Super Bowls. The passing stats that will never be caught. And then you throw the fact that, like, he's like, those rushing numbers are legit. Almost 6,000 yards rushing and 64 rushing touchdowns. The GOAT? Let me know in the comments. Is he going to retire, however, is the question on everybody's mind. He's playing the best football of his career. With that, he rides off into the sunset after 21 seasons. At this moment of lifting the Super Bowl, Bryce Young knew his career was coming to an end. An Offensive Rookie of the Year award, 12 Pro Bowls, 3 MVPs, now a 3rd Super Bowl, the all-time touchdown leader, the all-time yards leader. We set out to see what the career of Bryce Young would look like from start to finish. A quarterback that I believe is the best quarterback in the 2023 draft class. And after 21 seasons, we sit here saying, he's the next Tom Brady. So that will do it here today, fellas. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It took me way too long to admit, like how long it took me to record, like 6 days. 5-6 days of recording this. I hope you guys did enjoy it. There's an absolute blast, some epic moments. Let me know in the comment section below what player you want to see next for a full career mode. And if it is your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. Smash the like button if you enjoyed. That will let me know that you want to see more of these career modes. And I'll see you guys back here on the next one. Till next time, it's your boy C4 saying peace out. Love ya. Have a good one.